When a relationship ends, the hardest part is not just losing the person, but losing your own reputation to a lie. You treated them with empathy, gave them second chances, and endured invisible emotional punishment behind closed doors. In return, they walked away, acting like the innocent survivor, while portraying you as the abuser to anyone willing to listen. Your kindness was systematically used to build their trap. Realize this fundamental truth today. You were never the bad person in that relationship. You were simply targeted because your empathy made you the perfect scapegoat for someone who refuses to face reality. They need you to play the bad guy, because without your villainy, their own ugly behavior stands completely exposed. You were framed not because you failed, but because your light threatened their cover. This video exposes the exact psychological reasons why the narcissist desperately needs you to play the villain in their story. You will discover how they manipulate your reactions to make you look toxic, why defending yourself never works, and how to break free from their script. Prepare to understand their hidden tactics, strip away their power over your emotions, and reclaim your truth right now. Before we dive into the core mechanics, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode on healing and emotional recovery. The pain of having your good intentions stolen. When you enter a relationship with honest love, being branded as the toxic partner tears you apart inside. You spent months swallowing your pride, compromising your own needs, and trying to fix every argument that came up. You truly believed that enough patience and kindness could resolve any issue between you two. When they erase all your sacrifices and tell everyone that you ruined everything, your mind naturally panics. You cannot comprehend how your genuine goodwill was completely twisted into something malicious. The reality you experienced is suddenly wiped away and replaced by a narrative that portrays you as an unstable abuser. You constantly replay past conversations in your head late into the night, desperately searching for mistakes you might have made. You analyze every single word you said, wondering if you were secretly the problem all along. This endless overthinking drains your mental energy and leaves you feeling completely detached from reality. You try to figure out the exact moment your kindness was turned into proof of your alleged toxicity. It feels like waking up in a nightmare where your entire character has been stolen and rewritten by someone else. You are left defending a reputation that you spent your entire life building with integrity. This deep internal ache is not evidence that you are a bad person or a toxic partner. It actually proves that your moral compass and emotional capacity are fully intact. You are experiencing profound pain, specifically because your true actions and heart do not match the terrible story they created. Recognizing this unfair reality is where your psychological healing finally begins. You were not framed because you failed as a partner, but because your honesty was inconvenient for them. You must consciously give yourself permission to stop carrying guilt for emotional damage you did not cause. Reactive abuse. The trap designed to make you explode. To convince the world that you are the real problem, a narcissist requires visible evidence. They cannot just make accusations. They need you to display actual anger so they can point at it. They get this evidence by systematically poking at your deepest insecurities when nobody else is around to watch. They use quiet insults, cold dismissals, passive-aggressive comments, and broken promises every single day. They deliberately create a chaotic environment designed to drain your patience and make you feel entirely unheard. You try your best to stay calm, but human emotional endurance has strict, logical limits. When you finally break down, scream, cry, or throw a harsh statement back at them, the trap closes. They immediately freeze, change their posture, and point directly at your sudden emotional reaction. They instantly transform from the aggressive instigator into a calm, shocked victim right in front of your eyes. They tell you that your emotional outburst proves how dangerous, unhinged, and unstable you truly are. They selectively remove your reaction from the weeks of hidden harassment that directly caused it. They present your single moment of explosive frustration as the defining proof of your overall character. This calculated setup is known in psychology as reactive abuse. They deliberately force a severe stress response out of your nervous system, then use your survival reaction to justify their cruel behavior. They effectively hide their silent provocation while putting your natural human breaking point on full display. Your explosion was not a character flaw or a sign of an abusive personality. It was a normal human defense mechanism reacting to prolonged, invisible psychological pressure. Understanding this dynamic stops you from judging yourself by your worst reaction while completely ignoring the continuous abuse that drove you there. Psychological projection, forcing you to carry their internal shame. Deep down, narcissists carry an overwhelming amount of personal shame, insecurity, and self-hatred that they refuse to acknowledge. Their fragile ego cannot tolerate feeling flawed, weak, or wrong in any way. To protect their self-image, their mind relies on extreme defense mechanisms to push those feelings away. Instead of admitting their bad behavior or taking responsibility, they push those exact negative traits onto you. This psychological process is called projection, and it acts as an emotional dumping ground. They take the darkest parts of their own personality and mentally assign them entirely to your identity. They accuse you of being selfish, dishonest, controlling, or unfaithful, even when you have been completely loyal and generous. The specific things they attack you for are rarely based on anything you actually did. They are simply dumping the internal guilt they cannot process onto the closest target available. When they hurl those nasty accusations at you during an argument, they are not seeing you clearly at all. They are actually looking into a psychological mirror and describing their own secret traits out loud. Every cruel insult they throw your way is a precise confession of their own internal behavior. You essentially become an emotional trash can where they store all the bad feelings they cannot process internally. They need you to feel guilty and defective so that they can continue feeling clean and superior. They literally force you to carry the weight of their own bad choices and toxic personality. Understanding projection completely changes how you hear their harsh insults and wild allegations. Their words are not a true reflection of your character, your worth, or your actions. They are simply a detailed confession of their own hidden flaws that they are too cowardly to face. Smear campaigns in the Flying Monkeys network. A narcissist cannot afford to let people see their real behavior behind closed doors. To protect their public reputation, they start controlling the story long before the relationship officially ends. They begin a quiet smear campaign to ensure that everyone takes their side when the final split happens. They go to mutual friends, family members, or coworkers and drop subtle, selective hints about your behavior. They act like sad, patient, long-suffering partners who are doing their absolute best to deal with you. They plant small lies early on so that people slowly start doubting your emotional stability. They gather gullible bystanders around them, often called flying monkeys, to validate their innocent image. These outside people only see your frustrated, confused reactions in the narcissist's polite, calm face. Because they lack the full context, these third parties naturally believe the manufactured narrative they are fed. The narcissist uses this group support to build an echo chamber that constantly confirms their innocence. When an entire social group agrees that you are the problem, the narcissist feels completely justified in treating you poorly. This social manipulation isolates you and removes your safety net when you need it most. This calculated strategy makes you feel completely alone and misunderstood by the people around you. You realize that your private struggles were broadcasted to others in a heavily twisted way. The sense of betrayal expands from just one person to an entire social circle overnight. Seeing this social strategy clearly stops you from wasting your breath trying to defend yourself. You realize that arguing with people who have already bought into a fake story is pointless. You learn to save your energy and reserve your truth for people who actually care to know your heart. The futility of explaining yourself. When someone accuses you of things you did not do, your immediate instinct is to defend your name. You write long text messages, recall specific dates, and present logical facts to prove your innocence. You assume that if you just explain your perspective clearly enough, they will finally understand and stop attacking. However, attempting to reason or debate with a skilled manipulator always backfires on you. They do not argue to reach a mutual understanding, discover the truth, or fix the relationship. They argue strictly to win, drain your energy, and force you into a defensive, desperate position. Every long explanation, paragraph, or emotional defense you offer gives them fresh material to spin against you. They pick out single words from your defense, twist their meaning, and use them to start a brand new argument. Your honest attempt to clear the air just gives them more fuel for their fire. They view your intense urge to defend yourself as proof that their accusations are getting to you. Your emotional reactions tell them that they still have complete control over your mind and feelings. The more energy you spend trying to convince them, the more powerful and satisfied they feel. They deliberately take your defensiveness and show it to others as further evidence that you are unstable or obsessed. They use your desperate attempts to set the record straight, to prove that you cannot let things go. Your desire for fairness gets turned into another weapon against your character. The moment you stop trying to convince someone who is determined to misunderstand you, the game ends. You have to realize that they do not care about facts, logic, or fairness at all. Withdrawing your explanations immediately starves their narrative of the attention and drama it needs to survive. Stepping out of the script with the gray rock method. The fastest way to ruin a narcissist's plan is to refuse to play the villain role they assigned you. You do not need to fight them, call them out, or win an argument to break free. You simply need to become completely uninteresting and emotionally unavailable through a strategy called the gray rock method. You transform your communication style so that you resemble a plain, boring rock on the ground. You respond with short, neutral words like yes, no, or okay, without adding any emotional tone. You stop sharing personal details, stop asking questions, and keep every single interaction as brief as possible. When they try to provoke you with insults or wild claims, you give them zero emotional reaction. You keep your face blank, your voice calm, and your body relaxed regardless of what they say. You treat their dramatic statements like uninteresting weather reports that do not require any personal investment from you. When you strip away your emotional reactions, you remove the fuel they need to keep their narrative alive. Without your anger or tears, they no longer have new evidence to show people that you are toxic. They quickly realize that their attempts to manipulate your feelings no longer produce any results. Accepting that they will keep lying about you allows you to walk away cleanly without needing their approval. You stop wasting your life trying to edit a story written by a dishonest author. You win this battle by simply stepping off their stage and leaving them alone in an empty theater. This shift in strategy restores your personal peace and places control back into your own hands. You no longer spend your days reacting to artificial emergencies created by someone else. Your silence and emotional distance become your ultimate shield against any further psychological manipulation. Reclaiming your identity and inherent worth. Rebuilding your life after being blamed for everything means taking back your right to define who you are. For a long time, your energy was completely spent defending your goodness against constant, unfair attacks. Real healing happens when you realize that your worth exists independently of another person's twisted opinion. You do not need a narcissist to admit their lies or apologize to validate what you survived in secret. Expecting a confession from a manipulator only keeps you tied to their toxic system for years. Your lived experience is real, and your personal truth does not require their stamp of approval to be valid. The caring, empathetic person you were before meeting them is still alive inside you right now. Their smear campaigns, false accusations, and psychological games never had the power to destroy your core essence. They only managed to cover your true nature under a temporary layer of stress and doubt. You possess the inner strength to rebuild your personal boundaries and trust your intuition once again. You can use this painful experience as a clear guide for who you allow into your life going forward. You now know exactly how to spot manipulation early and protect your emotional peace. Choose to surround yourself exclusively with people who appreciate your true nature without demanding you constantly prove yourself. You deserve relationships built on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine care. You no longer have to settle for connections that require you to shrink or defend your basic character. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that their fake story never changed the real value of who you are. You survived a calculated attempt to dismantle your self-esteem, and you came out with deeper self-awareness. You are finally free to live your life on your own terms, completely unbothered by their script. You are not the monster they tried to make you out to be. Your anger was a healthy signal that your boundaries were being systematically destroyed, and your desire to fix things was a sign of your capacity for genuine connection. Now that you understand the psychological machinery behind their actions, you have the power to walk away from their narrative forever. You are worthy of peace, respect, and real love that never asks you to sacrifice your self-worth. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. If this content brought you clarity and helped you feel understood, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more psychological insights. Your support helps reach others who need this message today.